And welcome on this Monday to the Greg Cherry Show. How's everybody doing? This is Labor Day, but I'm still working, as you can plainly see. I am, of course, your host, Randy Cassidy, and I want to tell you guys that I'm really excited about the different stuff we have on this show this week. I know we typically go over a lot of the same stuff, but it's an exciting week for me in particular because, well, you'll see with one of the segments. So what we got going, first off, we have the wrestling recap. We talk about AEW All Out. I watched this show. I was entertained by it, and I am looking forward to discussing it with you. There were a couple controversial moments on the show, which we will, of course, address, and we will go from there. What's trending now? We will talk about obviously what's trending now on Twitter. I mean, the segment hasn't changed since the opening show, so let's keep that one going. And one of the things I'm most excited for, American football is back, and I got a guest with me. I'll tell you who that is later on in the show, but we're going to talk about football. I mean, I got my Steelers shirt on. They play next Monday, so I'm sure I'll bring it up on next Monday's show as well, but I'm just so excited that some semblance of normalcy is resuming in this world. And, of course, the Monday Q&A, which that's pretty self-explanatory. So, going to talk about AEW All Out for a little bit. I enjoyed the show. It was the first AEW pay-per-view I've watched the entire way through, and I thought it was a good show. I like the opener with Britt Baker and Big Swole. I just... I kind of wish there was more to it. I understand that it was kind of limited as far as what they could do inside of Britt Baker's dentist office, but still not a bad match. Big Swole picked up the win. I'd like to see their feud continue. I think their feud needs to continue. It's an entertaining feud. I like to see it. Also, Caleb Jacobs with a super chat, $2.38, says, Labor Day means people rest, but not Greg Cherry. That's correct. What else happened on the show? Matt Hardy and Sammy Guevara in a Broken Rules match. And quite frankly, it's going to be controversial to a lot of people, but I don't like the fact that they continued that match. Matt Hardy was clearly knocked loopy. Clearly, he had to have been concussed. The way he was reacting, he was not okay. He should not have been cleared to keep going, regardless if he didn't take a bump or the fact that he continued the match, the fact that he climbed that scaffold. And if he would have fallen from there, it could have been even more catastrophic. I don't agree with that at all. They should have just called the match, called it a no contest, waited till he was healthy, and hopefully not taking another bump like that. But that was absurd. It really was. Especially, I know Matt Hardy's not a super, like, he's not old by any stretch of the imagination, but even if you're, regardless of your age or not, if you take that bump, if you hit your head off of concrete and get concussed and get knocked loopy, I've done it before. It's not a fun feeling. It's very disorienting. You're not in the right mind of really doing anything. And the fact that the doctors are like, oh yeah, he can continue. Guys, in that condition, you have to take precautions. You can't determine instantaneously that somebody was concussed. And everybody's jumping Rebby Hardy's crap that is like, oh, first of all, I feel like she would know her husband's well-being better than any of you internet smarks. It's so stupid that you would go after her for that. Has she been controversial in the past? Yeah, but she loves her husband. So get off her back. I just don't understand the need to continue with that match. And it kind of made the rest of the pay-per-view feel uneasy for a little bit, but I mean, Matt Hardy won the match still. but it was obviously cut way short due to what happened with Matt. 42nd Street Matthew, who actually I watched the pay-per-view with, said the following: there was zero reason to continue that match. Agreed. And 100% agreed with you on Rebby. Yeah, I mean, nobody should be attacking Rebby Hardy because, you know, that's her husband. Obviously, she cares about him. Don't be sucking on Tony Khan's teat just because you enjoy AEW more than you do WWE. I mean, protecting your stars is a very important part, and you can't hold WWE to one standard and AEW to another. You just can't. And you know that's one of my biggest things is that whenever you agree with somebody or you side with somebody, there's very much a double standard. And I think that it's ridiculous that in this world, there are double standards. You either hold everybody to the same standard or you don't hold anybody to that standard. You don't get to pick and choose. If you follow one set of rules, that applies to everybody, not just who you like. Um, 42nd Street Matthew also says, I feel like these are the same people that take WWE side over Martha Hart. That's a much more extreme example, obviously, but it's totally a double standard. Agreed. Absolutely agreed. I mean, you can't, first of all, that whole thing should be put to rest. Owen Hart's never going into the WWE Hall of Fame. It's just not going to happen. We're going to have to let that go. And you have to understand Martha's side of it. Yeah, WWE wants to honor Owen. Yeah, but it's just not going to happen. The only potential way I could ever see it happening is if WWE agreed to take the profits from the Hall of Fame and WrestleMania and donate them all to the Owen Hart Foundation. That's the only way I could see it even remotely possibly happening. Other than that, I just don't see it. Anyway, back to All Out. Casino Battle Royal, which not the smoothest Battle Royal that they've done. I've seen previous Casino Battle Royals, or Casino Battle Royale, whatever. And I just feel like this one came across as sloppy. And I feel so bad. I said this while watching the show. I feel so bad for Matt Sydal. Because it was a big moment for him. He was debuting, and then the very first thing he does is slip on the top rope when trying to do the shooting star press. I'm just glad he didn't hurt himself worse, because that could have been a situation where he just landed on his neck and was paralyzed, and that would have been... I mean, that would have just added to AEW's woes if that would have happened immediately after the Matt Hardy bump. But Lance Archer was victorious in that. Again, kind of a sloppy match, but it was what it was. The tag team titles with FTR and Hangman Page and Kenny Omega, excellent match. I thought that went down very well, and FTR are the new champs. And dissension still continuing to build between Omega and Page. It'll be interesting to see. I feel like Omega and the Bucks are turning heel. I feel like it's coming. I know I missed the Bucks match with Jurassic Express. That was what it was. Of the tag matches that happened on the show, that one was actually probably the worst because there was an 8-man tag also, and that one was pretty good. Between Dustin Rhodes, QT Marshall, Scorpio Sky, which I don't know why Scorpio Sky wasn't with... why he wasn't with SCU in the Battle Royal, but that is what it is. And Matt Cardona against the Dark Order. That match was entertaining, and it continues to be teased that Colt Cabana's not really working out in the Dark Order because he took the fall. we'll see where that leads. The Mimosa Mayhem match between Chris Jericho and Orange Cassidy. I still love Orange Cassidy's character. I love that he continues to evolve, and it's good for him because he was put in the semi-main against Chris Jericho on a pay-per-view and won. You can't ask for really a better spot than that. And then the match that I predicted wrong, admittedly, John Moxley and MJF. I think a lot of people thought MJF was going to win the championship. And quite frankly, I think it would have been a good time to do it. But they decided to go with Moxley. Perhaps that leads to a future match between MJF and Moxley because Moxley, well, kind of broke the rules to win the match because he wasn't allowed to use the paradigm shift, but he did anyway. It was a good show. I would like to watch another AEW show. I'm glad I got the opportunity to watch this one, and I thought it was very good. And we'll see what happens this Wednesday on Dynamite. All right, what's trending now? Where we go on Twitter and find out exactly what is trending now. Such a good build for the segment, but you know what the segment is. If you've seen the show, you know what the segment is. Labor Day. Obviously, today's Labor Day, so Labor Day is trending. That makes sense to me. Trending also is don't remove YouTube CCs. Are they taking off closed captioning for YouTube? Why would you take away a service like that? I mean, closed captioning is there to help people who are deaf or to help people who don't necessarily understand the language. You know, why would you take that away? It's such a critical thing, the invention of closed captioning. Why would you take that away from somebody? I mean, it can't cost you that much. Mac Miller passed away 2 years ago today. A fellow Pittsburgher. So that's a sad anniversary. So rest in peace, Mac Miller. The city's never forgotten about you, brother. Texas Roadhouse is trending for some reason. People are just talking about it. Texas Roadhouse rolls. Hey, listen, I joke about this with my wife, but part of it's a little bit serious that I judge restaurants based on their rolls. If you have good dinner rolls, you have my business in the future. It's pretty cut and dry. If you guys got good bread, you got Greg Cherry as a customer. Simple as that. I was just hoping nothing else happened to negate that. Olive Garden is trending too. What's with the restaurants? Oh, they're ranking bread. Okay. People think Olive Garden bread is better than Texas Roadhouse and Red Lobster. No. I mean, don't get me wrong. I like the breadsticks at Olive Garden. But Texas Roadhouse dinner rolls and the Cheddar Bay biscuits from Red Lobster are better. Just simply put. You can disagree with me in the comments if you want. But it's just my opinion. Dinner rolls are critical to me when finding a restaurant to eat at. Is it a make or break? No, because I also enjoy Smoky Bones. But they have like these pretzel sticks, like the soft pretzel sticks. Those are good. I don't know if you consider those bread or not, but they're still good. Man, they're so good. I talked about this yesterday with Jen. I need to go to Smoky Bones soon, just because the barbecue just sounds amazing. But they're not really known for their bread. Buffalo Wild Wings is trending too. Nothing really talked about. I think it was people talking about you can only pick 3 restaurants to go to in your life. Those being Red Lobster, Applebee's, Olive Garden, Cheesecake Factory, Outback, Texas Roadhouse, Chili's, TGI Fridays, Hooters, Buffalo Wild Wings, Molly's, and Ruby Tuesday. So for me, it would be Red Lobster, Texas Roadhouse, and probably Outback Steakhouse. I do like Italian food, but I'm sure I can find better. I'm looking for non-political ones, which is it's going to be looking for non-political trending items is going to be very tough in the next coming months because the election's coming up. I might have to come up with another thing. Adrian's asking if the DQ is trending from Novak. I think it was trending yesterday, but it's not at the moment. At least not in the United States, which is what I have it set for. I'm not sure what the worldwide trends are saying, but mine are specifically to the U.S. But I did see that briefly. I'm not sure what the disqualification was for. I don't really follow anything he does, so I'm not very helpful in that regards. But that, of course, is what's trending now. And now I'm bringing on a special guest because American football is back, baby. And to help me with that, I'm bringing on one of the people in the No DQ chat who knows more about football than probably a lot of the others in the No DQ chat. Definitely more than Aaron Rift, which is not hard to do. It is Big G.
What's up?
What are you doing?
I think good, and you?
Or you're not? Is your voice on?
Yeah.
Or am I not hearing you? Hold on.
Can you hear me?
It might be me. Yeah, it's probably me. All right, try it now.
Testing.
No, I still don't hear you. Can you guys hear him? Because I can't. Let's see here.
Can you hear me now?
Talking about the Novak thing while Big G's working on his microphone. I'm also muted. That probably doesn't help either.
Testing.
There we go.
All right.
I just had it. I just had it. He casually hit a tennis ball at a lineswoman without looking. Harsh DQ. Yeah,
am I echoing?
You're not echoing. At least not on my end. So you're pretty good.
Okay.
But as you can see, both Big G and I represent the best team in the NFL, Pittsburgh Steelers.
Woo-woo.
The 6-time Super Bowl champions, looking for number 7 for
this year.
Number 7, yes.
Hopefully.
So, what do you think? I mean, football is coming back this Thursday with the Kansas City Chiefs playing, obviously defending Super Bowl champions, and the Steelers open their season next Monday against the Giants. Yeah,
I'm looking forward to it. I'm happy football's back. I've always liked football. I'm not mad that the Chiefs won last year, by the way. I have nothing against the Chiefs. I think they're a good team, and they proved it last year. I mean, look at Patrick Mahomes. You know, he can do great things. Who else? I hate to say it, but Lamar Jackson from the Ravens, you know, he won the MVP last year because he's doing great things too.
Right.
Last year we lost Ben in the second or third game against the Seahawks on an elbow injury.
Yep.
And you know, he's pretty. I was reading somebody said something like he's got a new throwing arm. You know, he had that elbow surgery, so and he's always had a big arm. I've always thought, in my opinion, I don't know if you're gonna agree with me here, but I feel like Ben is very underrated compared to the other quarterbacks. They rarely talk to him.
Yeah. I agree
They
with
rarely
that.
talk about him. All you hear is Brady, Rodgers, Wilson, Jackson. Oh, Jackson here and there.
Mahomes,
Mahomes. So
Prescott.
yeah. And Ben's been in the league since 2004, and I believe he and Philip Rivers are the only two quarterbacks from 2004 to still be playing because Eli just retired last year. So
Yeah, Eli retired, and not a lot of people talked about Eli either. And he was
no, he was.
yeah, he was a two-time Super Bowl champion too,
Yeah.
and beat the Patriots twice. So
Yep.
you have to talk about that.
Right.
But the thing is, Eli Manning was never, other than those 2 seasons, consistent enough to stay at that elite level.
Exactly.
And a lot of people give Ben Roethlisberger a ton of crap for not being at that elite level. He's made the Super Bowl 3 times, won it twice, and even when he was hurt, he was still a better quarterback than some of the other starters that we see in the NFL.
Absolutely. I just saw yesterday. I don't know if you saw this, but they signed Cam Hayward to another 4-year extension with the Steelers, which is, I was watching on YouTube the preview for the Steelers and Giants for this coming Monday, and looks at the end they had a bunch of predictions, and obviously everybody had the Steelers winning. So against New York Giants.
I do want to bring this up. Jermaine Presley says he's a huge Eagles fan. I don't have a problem with the Eagles. I was happy when you guys won the Super Bowl a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
And also Sarah Priebus, who might be a future guest on this show, is also an Eagles fan. So that should be very fun because we might bring up talking about football because the Steelers and the Eagles play each other this regular season.
Yes, we do.
So that'll be a fun week to discuss. It'll be a lot of fun. Now, obviously, both of us being Steelers fans, we were very happy to hear that Tom Brady left the AFC to go to the NFC to join Tampa Bay. So we don't have to deal with him necessarily until potentially the Super Bowl. Now, that would be an intense matchup, the Steelers against the Buccaneers. At this point, Tom Brady's already won 6.
Yeah.
I think if he won a 7th, I wouldn't care. He already has the most, as long as it's not with New England. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, and Tampa Bay, I believe, only has the one Super Bowl 36, or not 36. So. Was it 36?
But let me.
No, I think that one was the Patriots one. But they only won one Super Bowl, maybe 38 or 37. One of them. I'm confusing my Super Bowls at this rate. But yeah, the Buccaneers only won 1.
It was against. Oh yeah, you know what? It was in 2003 against the Raiders.
I knew it was. I knew it was in that time frame somewhere. It's kind of hard to believe that.
And I believe the defensive coordinator at the time was Mike Tomlin, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh well, there you go.
So.
And fun fact: the center for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers grew up in my hometown.
Okay, so there you go. Nice, interesting, very, very cool.
Yes. Good old Jeff Christie.
This coming Monday, I won't be watching Raw. I'll be watching the football game.
Same.
So, because I can always DVR Monday Night Raw. So, yeah.
Well, it's like last year. They had the Steelers game playing Sunday Night Football on TLC. And I'm like, I love wrestling.
Yeah.
But it's Pittsburgh Steelers football, brother. So I'm watching the football game. And maybe during halftime, I'll switch to TLC to see what's happening.
Right.
And I think that's the thing that might surprise a lot of people, especially like with me still being Wrestling Trivia Challenge champion. It's like, oh, you watch all this wrestling. It's like, yeah, but if football's on at the same time wrestling is, I'm watching football.
Football, right?
Because All In happened a couple years ago, the same week that Notre Dame, Michigan was happening in college. And I was like, sorry, Cody, I'm not watching All In. I'm watching Notre Dame, Michigan.
Yeah,
because Notre Dame's my team. I'm actually, I don't know how you feel because we've never talked college football. I feel like I'm actually a bigger college football fan than I am the NFL.
I really not. I never really got into college football. I don't know if I think I might. Oh, this year I don't know if it's happening with everything going on.
Well, there is some. There is some. there are a couple conferences playing. Thankfully, Notre Dame is in one of them.
Okay.
So that makes me very happy. I got my shrimp ready, my popcorn shrimp ready for Saturday, and it's a tradition for opening week. Have shrimp, ketchup, and soda, and you're good to go.
All right, cool. But yeah, I never really got into college football. I don't know what it is. I think I just never really took the time to sit down and watch it, and it's always on the weekends, and I was always working.
Yeah.
But for right now, I'm off on the weekends, which is nice. So I might sit down and watch a couple college games here and there. I just don't really have a team in particular.
Right.
Sometimes I just like sitting back and watching it as a fan, especially if the Steelers aren't playing. You know, if there's two other teams playing or whatnot. Like my buddy, he's a Seahawks fan. So when I was down in Aberdeen still in Maryland, we'd get together with a bunch of friends, get food together and whatnot, and sit down and watch football on the Sunday night game. So
I feel like I really grew into enjoying football that much more once I started playing fantasy football. Because up until that point, I was just watching Steelers games. I caught a couple other games here and there, but I was never really into it. But when I started playing fantasy football, I just like dove in head first, started watching all these other games, like whether the Steelers were playing or not. And that, I think, solidified my fandom in football.
Absolutely, yeah.
Now, I wish we had enough people in the No DQ group who watched football,
right,
to do like a fantasy football league. But I think it's between you, me, Virtue, Jeff,
Caitlin occasionally,
but I don't know if she'd be as like hardcore into watching.
No. I think that's pretty.
Jermaine actually brought up. First of all, Mike Gonzalez says the Giants are winning on Monday.
No,
talking to Steelers fans right here.
No,
I'm not going to bet on that. I don't know how good the Giants have been, but I actually don't mind the Giants. Like if I were to pick an NFC team, it actually might be the New York Giants.
Yeah.
So I don't have a problem with them unless we're facing them.
So they released their 53-man roster, I think 2 days ago, and then yesterday they re-signed Josh Dobbs and Sean Davis to the team.
Mm-hmm.
So
I saw that, and the Josh Dobbs pickup kind of made me laugh because he's who we traded to Jacksonville for Minkah Fitzpatrick.
Yeah.
And I was like, so you're telling me we get both Minkah and Josh Dobbs now? Yeah. Cool.
So
it's like we basically traded Josh Dobbs to the Jaguars for them to just give him right back.
Give it back to us. Yeah.
That works.
Right.
And I didn't see the finalized 53-man roster. I'm guessing Chase Claypool's still there because Claypool's an amazing receiver and he's going to do great things.
Yeah.
Of course, that's my Notre Dame bias showing, but it's going to be a good season with Ben back under center. I'm just hoping the offensive line holds up for him long enough to allow him to make plays.
Yeah. And I think Juju will have a good year this year now that Ben's back. Last year
he's gonna have some support too.
Yeah. Last year Ben got hurt. Like I said, I think it was against the Seahawks, if I'm not mistaken. And Juju really didn't have a good year, but we had some breakout stars. We had James Washington, Deontay Johnson breakout. Our running game needs to be a little bit better. James Conner, hopefully he can stay healthy this year because I know the past couple years, he's had an injury here and there. He'd come back, get another injury. It reminds me of a wrestler, they're somebody who's really injury prone. So hopefully he can stay healthy this year. I don't know who did we pick up any running backs this in the draft?
I'm trying to remember, but I don't think we have anybody that's. We still have Benny Snell, right?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, but we still have Benny Snell. I don't know. The running game is definitely not as strong as it was when Le'Veon Bell was still here.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Which I understand, like the whole thing with Le'Veon and the holdout and leaving the team. It left a sour taste in everybody's mouth, as it should have, because he's very talented, but it's one of those things that I don't know. We got a couple comments here. First of all, Jermaine is asking, hey, what college football teams are playing? The SEC and the ACC are definitely playing. I don't know if any other conferences are, but Notre Dame joined the ACC this year, so that's really the only one I care about. There was talk about the Big Ten joining late. I don't know if the Pac-12 or Pac-10 or any of that, if they're joining. It's such a weird year for college football that I understand, Big G, you want to start watching, but it's such a weird year to join because you don't get that. You're not going to get that same excitement that you will when all the college teams are playing, like the AP Top 25 and all that. It's not going to be quite the same, but if this is a year that Notre Dame wins the national championship and there aren't a bunch of teams, I think I'll take it.
You know what I'm going to do? I'm just going to write down some college football teams that are playing this year, throw them in a hat and pick one out, and there you go.
All right. Well, if you pick the Crimson Tide, I'm not watching football with you on Saturdays. Wayne DeP says Browns are winning the Super Bowl. They have to make one first. Which everybody said, oh, this is the Browns year. This is the Browns year. This is the Browns year. And they do that every single year, all the time. And the sad thing is the Browns weren't even the worst team in the AFC North last year. That was the Bengals. The Bengals were abysmal. Abysmal that even a third string Steelers team could beat them. Yeah. But it's the Browns need to get their crap together. They need to keep a coach longer than 1 year.
1 year.
And they need to quit the rotation of quarterbacks. I think Baker Mayfield's still under center. But
I think so.
You gotta clean up your own mess before you. First of all, you gotta make the playoffs first. The Browns haven't made the playoffs since 2002,
something like that. Yeah,
when they lost to the Steelers in the wild card. You guys gotta. It's kind of a dumpster fire over there in Cleveland, and I understand the rivalries there between the Steelers and the Browns, but I almost feel bad. Yeah. Like it is like. We get that living in Pittsburgh, knowing how terrible the Pirates are. I'm not a Pirates fan myself, but well, you don't live in Pittsburgh either. But the Pirates are basically the Browns of Major League Baseball. They're just,
I would say so, yeah.
Yeah, they're just almost comically bad at this point. Adrian says Colts and Bills. I mean, that was to Mike Gonzalez's who are your sleeper teams this year. The Bills actually might make a good run. I wouldn't be surprised if they were the top team in the AFC East this year. Because I don't know how I feel about Cam. Like Cam Newton, he might fit the Bill Belichick system, but I'm not sure.
Yeah. I don't know. That's a tough question. Maybe I would go with the Bills, I think too. You know, they had, I think, was it last year they had a good record, if I'm not mistaken?
Yeah, and they took the Patriots to their limits.
Yeah,
a couple times. Did the Bills make the playoffs? I think they did.
I think they might have.
Yeah, they might have squeezed into a 5 or 6 seed because I know they didn't win the division.
No.
I feel like they might have, but I feel like they lost in the opening round to like the Titans not the Titans because the Titans beat the Pats.
It's kind of weird that we don't have a preseason this year, but I was glad that they got rid of them.
Yeah. The preseason for me doesn't do anything. It's like, yeah, it's nice that football's on, but there's nothing at stake.
Yeah.
I mean, there's nothing at stake for us because, nothing really matters as far as records go in the preseason. It's more for the teams to determine who they're going to cut. And that's not as big of a deal unless you're that invested in a certain player. So for me, not having a preseason, it's okay. Especially if they're looking on expanding the regular season anyway. Then training camps and all that stuff should be able to determine who stays, who goes.
Yeah. The Bills were the number 5 spot last year. They were the wild card.
I figured they were. I couldn't remember if they were 5 or 6. Titans must have been 6 because they faced New England.
Yeah.
Well, here's a good question from Mike Gonzalez. Do Steelers fans hate the Ravens or the Browns more? I'll let you answer, G.
You know what? I I'm gonna throw them off. I hate the Bengals more than the Ravens and the Browns.
Well, there you go. Especially, Vontaze Burfict isn't there anymore.
I know,
but all three teams have done like terrible things to the Steelers. Like Vontaze Burfict injured at least 3 Steelers in that playoff game. And of course the Browns last year with hitting Mason over the head with the helmet. I mean, that was disgusting, honestly. And then the Ravens are just a thorn in their side anyway.
Yeah. I have at first, I really despise the Ravens and stuff like that. But over the years, I mean, yeah, it's more of a dislike now instead of a hate. I got more respect for them. I respect the Browns a lot more. And the like I said, the Bengals I could completely care about. I mean, like you said, last year they were dead last in the AFC North, and it's just they have a lot to they're pretty much rebuilding too because they lost their quarterback, I think, this year too, didn't they?
Yeah, I think they picked up Joe Burrow from LSU, who won the national championship. But as we've seen, college success doesn't translate to NFL success. I mean, for a wrestling comparison, you see somebody in NXT be successful. It doesn't mean they're going to be successful on the main roster.
Yeah.
It's actually a good comparison there.
Look at RG3. He was really good in college. He had maybe one good year with the with the Washington football team. Sorry there. Gotta be politically correct now.
Don't get me started on that.
I'm sorry. But he had one good year with that team, and then after that, nothing much. And just like quarterback for the Browns a couple years ago, not Mayfield.
Take your pick. I mean, there's been so many.
What is it, Johnny Manziel?
Oh, geez. Manziel was a train wreck and a half. Adrian says, as a long shot, what about the Rams? The Rams, they made the Super Bowl against the Patriots a couple years ago.
One of the most boring Super Bowls ever.
I honestly didn't watch it. I told myself, as long as the Patriots are in the Super Bowl, I'm not going to watch. So I missed 2 Super Bowls in a row.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, I caught the last 2 minutes of the one against the Eagles just because I enjoy seeing the Patriots lose.
Yeah.
But the one against the Rams, I was like, I have no interest whatsoever.
Yeah, and that's where they got their 6th Super Bowl ring. So
yeah, so it was like,
you might as well have just given them the damn ring.
Yeah. Like there was what, 1 touchdown scored in the game in the fourth
I believe
quarter? So, yeah. I mean, maybe that's why I was like, okay, good. We need to get the Patriots out because it's getting boring with them being in it. It's like, let's get new teams in it. Kansas City and San Francisco is actually a good game. I enjoyed that one.
Yeah.
Mike Gonzalez says, I think Tua will have a better career than Burrow. I mean, that's for SEC fans to determine whether Alabama or LSU is better. And as we determined from college football last year, LSU was better. But we'll see. Is Tua fully healed from his injury? I'd like to know that because I know he was suffering from injuries a lot last year, which really prevented Alabama from making it to the college football playoff.
Yeah. How do you because we know when there's not going to be any fans in the stadiums until like further notice. It is outside, so I mean, depending on the state, I mean, they could do something like AEW, have like a 10% capacity, or even 5% capacity. I don't know how that would work.
Yeah, but I'm not sure how that's going to work. I'm really hoping that this is a 1-year thing, and like after the election's over, everything will just go back to normal. People will just be like, oh, well, you shouldn't have to worry about this or whatever the case may be. And
I don't want to get into the politics of things, but I've been sharing a couple posts, through for football and whatnot. And some of the comments I'm reading through, I'm just like, really, people? It's crazy what people think of football nowadays.
Yeah, well, here's my thing, and it was something I thought about before we went on the air today. If you only watch football because of who it politically supports, you're not a football fan.
No.
If you stop watching based on politics, you're not a fan.
No.
You never were.
No.
For me, I don't give a damn about somebody's politics.
No.
It's like if you can't be a civilized person because somebody disagrees with you, the problem is with you, not with them.
Yeah. Yeah, that's I can't remember. It was a couple weeks ago or maybe a month ago. My soon to be like father-in-law, you know, he's one of those people who's against them kneeling and stuff. And he found out, you know, that the Steelers were gonna be kneeling or whatever, and he's like, "Well, I'm not watching football this year." And then I guess during baseball season they were kneeling too. So he said he was gonna stop watching baseball too. I was like,
you know,
who cares if they're, you know, like you just said about the politics, you know, if
it's gotten to the point where it's just stupid. It's like just let people do what they want to do.
Exactly.
As long as they're not like taking a piss on the flag or something. Right. And I mean literally, not figuratively, like, because you can spin anything to make it figurative. It's just so disgusting. Like, I'm still going to watch football because I like to enjoy things in my life, and I don't make everything about politics.
No.
But you people who want to make everything about politics, enjoy your joyless lives.
Yeah. And the funny thing is, let's go a couple years ago, back to a quarterback with the Denver Broncos, Tim Tebow. What did he? I mean, it wasn't during the national anthem.
Yeah, he was kneeling for a different reason, and people gave him all kinds of crap. It's like, so you get to pick and choose, and that's something I brought up earlier in the show. It's like, hey, if you hold somebody to one standard, you can't pick and choose who it applies to based on if it agrees with your politics or not.
Yeah,
you can't do it. So,
and
hopefully, and we got another comment from Jermaine here. Most important question should be football. Is on Steelers are playing against their hated rivals. Was the food set up in the man cave? And do you let anyone that is not a Steelers fan in the cave? Not a problem for me because my wife's a Steelers fan.
Yeah.
So, and we just watch football in the living room anyway. So it's
yeah.
not a deal.
Well, I'll be watching football in my bedroom this year, and I got surround sound, so it'll be. I mean, there's no fans there, but at least it'll be like I'm there.
Yeah.
As far as food setup, I mean, I usually just eat whatever I have for dinner, or if I'm in the mood, I'll get a pizza and wings or something like that. So
yeah,
something easy, simple.
Pizza's a good fall safe. Wings is a good fall safe. When my sister-in-law was still married, her ex-husband used to smoke different kinds of meats and have it during games. And I'll tell you what, it was some good food. The football food is probably one of the best things ever.
Yeah,
because you just get to eat. You get to eat good food and watch a good game, depending on how your team's doing, of course. And
right.
It's just watching football is just like kind of a cathartic experience almost. At least for me. And some people don't get it. Some people don't get into sports, and that's fine. But for those of us that, like Big G and myself, who enjoy football, it's just a great experience.
Yeah.
And of course, Jeff has to chime in. One of your best friends is a Cowboys fan until he dies. Well, at least you had Super Bowl 30, and we beat you in the Super Bowl twice. So
yeah.
And the Cowboys haven't done anything in 25 years, but love you.
And
but
also,
anyway,
one more thing about the food thing, because I'm sure you need to get on to your next topic.
Yeah.
I know you don't drink, but for me, I always like having a nice cold beer with my pizza and wings.
For me, it would be Pepsi.
There you go.
Got to follow the straight edge lifestyle. But anyway, thank you, Big G. This was a great discussion about football.
Absolutely.
I'm looking forward to the season starting on Thursday, and then college football this weekend, and then the Steelers next Monday.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
if you ever need me on again to recap a game or something like that, I'm down for that too. So
yeah, I'll definitely call you up. Obviously not next Monday because the Steelers don't play till Monday night. But
exactly.
yeah, we'll figure out a time and we'll get those football recaps in.
Awesome.
All right.
It was great being on, Greg. Take it easy.
Yep. Have a good one. All right. So now that the football talk is quite done, we got our Monday Q&A. So you guys can ask about whatever you want. And Mark Simpson asks, do you think Randy Orton will win with such a push like 2009, like he had back then, and now it only makes sense to make him the top heel? I think now would be a good time for Orton to win the championship. But I feel like it ties back into his feud with Edge, and Edge becomes a 12-time champion, perhaps at WrestleMania. I don't think you have Edge win Rumble necessarily, but at least earn a title shot to face Orton again. And Jeff was saying, I was just piggybacking off the question about letting non-Steelers fans in the man cave. Hey, if you were ever here watching football with us, as long as the Steelers and the Cowboys weren't playing each other, you'd be fine, because you really wouldn't have a horse in the race unless, the Steelers were playing somebody else in the NFC East, and then you would be rooting for the Steelers anyway. So there you go. Greg Cherrymark, if Cam Newton folded against an old Peyton Manning in the Super Bowl, what makes you think he'll succeed on the Pats? It really comes down to coaching and coaching styles, because some players don't do well on certain teams, but then they move teams and get a whole new culture, and all of a sudden their talents just explode. I mean, Jerome Bettis was initially on the Rams before he came to the Steelers, and he was good with the Rams, but man, when he hit Pittsburgh, he was just incredible and had that Hall of Fame career and won his Super Bowl in his last game. So it's going to be I feel like Cam Newton might have some success, but he's also been in the league for 10 years or so. It all depends on how him and Belichick click. And we'll really, this will be a true indication. Is it a systematic thing with the Patriots that anybody could succeed in it? Or was Tom Brady just that good? That's what the real test is. It's like, was Tom Brady as good as he was because he was Tom Brady, or was it because of the Patriots system? That's what I'm interested to see. And we might not get a clear answer with that. It depends on how Cam does. But I feel like I lean towards the systematic part, not saying Brady's a bad quarterback, but it's also going to depend on that success in Tampa Bay. Mike Gonzalez says the AFC isn't that good this year. Outside the Bills and Chiefs, I feel like other teams are mediocre. Ravens are built for the regular season and not the playoffs, in my opinion. I feel like you're underrating the AFC. Calling the AFC a two-team race with perhaps a third team, you really don't know how things are going to break down as the season progresses. I mean, Patrick Mahomes might go down the first game with tearing his ACL, and then he's out, and then you leave the backup quarterbacks for the Chiefs. Is the rest of the team that strong to maintain that momentum that Mahomes has? Because Mahomes is one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. But can you succeed without him? That's the question. And as far as the Bills go, the Bills have a solid team. I mean, they made the playoffs last year for a reason. But the Steelers almost made the playoffs with, a team held together with duct tape and lots of wishes. You really don't know. I mean, the Bills could have a great team on paper and then come out and have a 5-11 season. I mean, the Browns look, by all accounts, in the last couple of years, like they should have had playoff runs. And they didn't make it either time. It's all depending on coaching, the situations of the game, everything. You look at your team and you're like, man, this roster is stacked. But when you put it up against other teams and the individual matchups, you can't tell right off the bat. I don't really judge teams until week 6 or 7 to be like, okay, I can see this happening. And maybe there are a couple teams that will surprise me later on in the season. But up until that point, you can be like, okay, yeah, I can see that. All right, let's see. Jermaine says, now that the Sasha and Bailey feud has officially started, do you think they'll do the first match at Hell in a Cell, or do you think they're going to hold for the Royal Rumble? I would like for them to hold off. First of all, I don't like the fact that Hell in a Cell is the next pay-per-view coming up, because I would hate for them to hot shot this feud. Which sounds weird because my mic is static. Unbelievable. All right, give me 1 second. You're gonna hear me go dark for. All right, can you guys hear me better? If not, we'll just make do. But anyway, now that Sasha and Bailey feud has officially started, do you think that they'll do the first match at Hell in a Cell or the Rumble? I feel like they need to hold it off. Like they need to hold off till WrestleMania. And then main event WrestleMania. Because it's what it deserves. I just want to make sure my audio is good. Test. Okay. Yeah, I think that's what they should do. I think they should hold off till. What are your comments on the Matt Hardy situation at All Out this past Saturday? I addressed that at the top of the show. I thought it was ridiculous, everything that Matt Hardy went through, and the fact that they cleared him to continue the match. He was clearly concussed. He was out of it. Anybody could have seen that. It was kind of insane. James Malaspino, Boston Punk, says, I met Belichick twice. All work and no play makes Bill a dull boy. Well, I mean, he has success behind him, but I'm very interested to see whether or not it's a systematic thing with New England or if Brady was that good. I think that's one of the main storylines of the NFL this year. And if they're both terrible, then maybe it was just the combination of the two. I don't know. Greg Cherrymark, do you think Lesnar to AEW is a reach? Likely. Yeah, I don't see Lesnar going to AEW. I'm sure AEW would pay him handsomely to basically have the same deal he does with WWE. But I don't see really the need for Brock Lesnar to go to AEW. Would he be a big name? Yeah. But you figure he would basically do what he's doing in WWE. It wouldn't be anything different at all. So him being with WWE for the money, for realistically the bigger exposure, makes more sense. If he went to AEW, then good for AEW. But I don't see it happening. He might use them for leverage for contract negotiation, but nothing other than that. All right. So good show today. Glad you could join us. Of course, go use the hashtag Cherry for Quizzlemania on Twitter, because Quizzlemania is coming up this Wednesday. I haven't heard who the guest is, but I'm definitely interested to see what happens this week. It might not happen for me this week, but I still want it to happen. Let's get that movement. Tweet at Parts Fun Known and tweet at Quizzlemania, which is apparently a Twitter account now. So I'm going to have to DM them myself. Cherry for Quizzlemania. Glad everybody could join us. And I will see you guys again Wednesday for another episode of The Greg Cherry Show.